Hi, welcome to this tutorial on Windows Communication Foundation. So in this tutorial we will see what are the other ways of hosting a service. So in our previous tutorial we hosted a service as a console application. Okay, so here in this tutorial we will see the other different ways of hosting a service. Okay, so host actually brings a service to life. Okay, so we saw this in our previous tutorial, what is the use of having a host. So without a host, a service, we cannot do anything with a service. Okay, so it brings the service to life. So you can host a service as any Windows process. Okay, as any Windows process, with any Windows process. Okay, so the next way of hosting a service is IIS. We will see how we can host a service in IIS, and I will give a brief introduction on how we can also, what is the use of hosting a service in WAS and then Windows service. Okay, and we can also host this as a WinForms. Okay, you can have different ways of hosting a service. Okay, so first we will go through the IIS. So to host a service in IIS, first you have to make sure your IIS is enabled. Okay, so you can check that here in your control panel. Okay, so here in programs and features, here you have turned Windows features on or off. Okay, so in that you can enable your IIS. So it's taking some time. So mostly you will have the IIS. In case if you don't have it, then you have to install it. Okay, so in the case you have the IIS, you just make sure that it is enabled. Okay, so now it's already enabled, and then I close this. So I open my program, the demo1 program. Okay, so which we saw for all the demos. Okay, projects, demo. Okay, so in this project, okay, so here I have my program. Okay, so I'll just delete this, just remove it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have a service, okay, which is named as my first service. I'm going to host the service as a IIS in IIS. Okay, and how I do that is just right click on your solution and go to add and go for add new website. Okay, so once you go for add new website, it is the WCF service. Okay, so just click on WCF service, and you have the same path, but just give the name as IIS host. So this can be any name. Okay, it's just your host name, and I just click on OK. Alright. So I have iService and service implementation file automatically created, and then I have a web config file. Okay, so hosting a service in IIS is very simple. So you don't have to create a create an instance for the service host class. Okay, so you just have to make sure that you configure you call the service here. Okay, so apart from that you don't have to do anything. Okay, so my service is my first service dot service implementation. Okay, so of course you make sure that you add the reference. Okay, so I will add reference here. all that I need is this one. Okay, the language that I've chosen is C# and debugging is true, and service is service my first service dot service implementation. Okay, so I will just file save all and run this. So it has hosted. Okay, and my startup service is my first service. Okay, so I will make my set startup project as this, the IIS project. So set a startup project, and then I will run this application. Okay, so here I have my host. Okay, and my service is hosted, and then I have the service.svc, and here I have the svc util file. Okay, and by clicking on this I can go to my WSDL. Okay, so I've hosted in IIS, my service in IIS. So here you have, if you want to do some configuration changes, okay, then you can go to the web.config file. This is automatically created. Okay, so if you want to do some changes, then you can do it here. For example, if I say I want to disable the metadata, I don't want to publish the metadata, in that case I just give http get enabled equal to false, save all, and then I just run this file. So can you see my metadata has not been published. Okay, so all this you can do, okay, inside the web.config file. Okay, and you can, if you want, you can create endpoints, different endpoints, and then you can communicate with the client using those endpoints also. So if you want to create your endpoints, you can create either directly in the XML code, or if you want to go for the editor, here you have the this thing. Okay, it's, so this is very convenient for some developers, but most of the developers will prefer for the XML file. Okay, so both are equal. So if you want, if you're convenient with this, you can use this, or you can directly code here. Okay, in the XML. So if you want, you can add your endpoints, and then configure the bindings, and add services. So you can do all this here. Okay, just right click and give edit WCF configuration. Okay, and the next way of hosting is WAS. Okay, WAS is actually a extension of IIS. Okay, so IIS, the difference between IIS and WAS is IIS uses only these the HTTP mode. Okay, and the HTTPS and FTP. Okay, SMTP. But whereas if you go for WAS, it supports all mode of transmission. Okay, so it supports TCP transport, or HTTP, or it can be named pipes. So it supports all transport modes. So this is actually an extension, or it is a advancement of IIS. And then application fabric is mainly for putting the service in cloud. Okay, so it is mainly dealing with Windows Azure. Okay, so when you have developed your service, when you have done all the implementation, everything, then you have to host your service to bring your service to life. There are different ways. You can host your service in any Windows process. It can be either in a console application, or it can be IIS, WAS, Windows service. Okay, so Windows services, it will take the lifespan of your operating system. Okay, so this is also a very reliable hosting. Okay, so as long as your operating system is alive, the service will also be there. Okay, it will be up and running. And next, you can also host it in IIS. And WAS is another version, or it's an enhancement of IIS. Okay, IIS just allows HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, SMTP, but WAS allows all the modes of transport including HTTP, FTP, everything with named pipes and TCP. Okay, so thank you for watching this tutorial. I will catch you up in the next tutorial wherein we will see about how to configure the host, okay, or how to give more configuration to the host by creating throttling and all those things. Okay, thank you for watching this tutorial.